And there it is. There's the group all ready to go for another Monday, which it is. CFN Live. It is I don't even know how to describe it. It is just an absolutely repulsive kind of Monday out there weather-wise. If you are in Ontario or Quebec or parts of Manitoba, I believe it's pretty warm there too. But yeah, this is just repressive heat that we're having out here. So I'm glad everybody's joining us. Hope everybody's cool. This is the only room that doesn't really have great air conditioning. So I'll see how much weight I lose and how long I'm able to stay conscious. But it should be fun. Needless to say, there'll be a few wet marks, I'm sure, on the floor. Steve's in the house. How you doing, Steve? Thanks again for all your work, your hard work you and Walt do behind the scenes, of course, answering our many community members with the inbox. Those who want to be featured on the site, for the most part, most of you have all figured it out. Just click message, say who you are, say where you're from, say where your fish was caught. You can tell us what you're using if you wish, but we're not holding you to detailed information. We just want, if something's going to be promoted on your behalf, we want to include as much as possible. So I'm sure there's a story and a half with every fish that's caught. And if there is, we'd love to share it. So by all means, when you send in a fish pic, don't be afraid to give us a few details because it just helps with the post. Because we're running a little bit dry on content and what to say. So if you can help us out with that, we truly appreciate it. But a big shout out to Steve and Walt who are doing wonderful things for our CFN community. How you doing, Tony? Happy CFN Hot Monday. You're not freaking kidding, dude. Unbelievable. Lloyd, how you guys out there? How are the wildfires? That's something that we don't hear a lot of right now. Are the wildfires under control out there? I really haven't been paying attention to that news as much as I should because I think we're all fixated on the tube to find out who we're going to war with next. Richard's in the house. Thanks for all of your sharing, dude, and keeping us up to date with, of course, everything that's going on out there in our fishing community. Shane Richard, big shout out to you, my friend. Big help with the recent Next Gen event. Thanks so much for doing that on behalf of yourself, CFN, and the young kids that, of course, come to that event each and every year. They look forward to seeing guys like you. Corey, how you doing, buddy? Always a pleasure to see you, my friend, here on a Monday. It is a sweltering hot Monday. Hoping it's a little bit more comfortable for you out there in. Are you? What is it? Oregon? You live? Oregon? Or Washington. I can never remember. I believe it's Oregon, but you're going to correct me, I'm sure. Scotty is glistening. Yeah, literally, 100%. If I was a turkey, I've been well basted. That's for darn sure. Joe, how you doing? Good evening, Scotty. My wife Terry and my daughter Kristen are joint me to. Oh, they're joining you. That's wow. Well, this is an honor to have ladies joining us for Ladies' Night. It's always a lot of fun. We're looking forward to speaking with Kat. Dean Howard's in the house. Nice to see you, Dean. Steven's here with us. Nick's here as well. Look at, oh my God, this is awesome. Eve, you've been busy. I saw some of your pics this weekend. Well, freaking done. And there's my buddy, Ed McKenzie. How you doing, buddy? How you doing? How's that? That should be good. And Pete LeDuc. Hope you're okay after the wins. Actually, Kat's going to come on and tell us a little bit about the experience they had with that wind event that went through our North Country. And then, of course, we have our one and only Mike Consul, who's going to be joining us to talk about the CFN Fish Off. So let us get underway. Kevin's in the house. Nice to see you, Kevin. And, of course, May is always here on Ladies' Night, supporting, representing, doing her best to support her fellow lady anglers. Nice to have you along, May. Of course, was bass opener for many, and it was awesome to see some of our CFNers out doing their thing, which, of course, I have to say, why isn't that? There you go. One of our legacy members, Mark Beeler, was out, and, of course, the one and only Steve Shaw. And I don't believe there's a fish that Steve loves more than his beloved bass, which is on full display there. And last but not least, our good buddy George Morgan, who is a regular here on the show. He had a fantastic opener up in the Nipissing area, and judging by the smile on his face it looked pretty productive. He sent me a few pics, this one of which we will do a little bit more of an edit for. But George, thanks for sharing that. And all those who do share on a regular basis, we love seeing what you're up to. We love seeing what fish you're catching. But it's great to see you guys out fishing. You know what? Get out there and enjoy it while you can, because who knows? With everything that's going on in the world, what next are they going to take away from us, or are we just going to have to stop doing? So have fun while you can. Get out there and enjoy it while you can. Merle's in the house. How you doing, Merle? Mike Consul, he's so dreamy. Wow, I tell you, that kind of support. Danny was telling me about his wonderful marriage and all the perks that go along with it this past weekend. I'm telling you, I'm jealous. All you wonderful married folk having so much fun with one another. That's just awesome. I'm just kidding. Good evening. Yes, absolutely. It's awesome stuff. Well, as I said, we have a bit to get through. Tonight, we are honored to have special guest Catherine Cat Bodden from OWA, who's going to be joining us to tell us about the events that are upcoming in OWA land. She's going to share a few stories, and she's probably going to embarrass the heck out of me at some point. And I'm fully prepared for that. I'm glistening already, and I already sunburned my face, so I can't get any redder than I am. So I'm looking forward to that. Cat is always a lot of fun to talk to. Mike Consul is also going to be joining us right up after we're done with the intros to talk about the CFN Fish Off. Tonight, Big Jim has a bunch of things he's got to get to tomorrow, so he's feverishly trying to get that all ready tonight, so he won't be with us. And our good buddy, Jay Barnucz, is probably just pulling off the waiter. Can you imagine wearing waders on a day like today? Can you imagine? Well, you know what? Jay, in a lot of cases, has a choice to do that, but sometimes when he's working, there is no choice. And today was one of those days that he had no choice. Well, I can't imagine how much weight he lost. I was very conservative when I said 10. He said, no, way more than that. But we want to wish him well as he's yearning for a nice cold shower, probably a bevy or three. But needless to say, he has been a busy boy. So he won't be with us, but Lawrence Gunther will. So there's lots of things that's going on tonight, lots of stuff to talk about, and I do not want to delay. As I mentioned, this is our 10th anniversary here at CFN. Lots of wonderful things going on, including our Derby on Wheels and our many events that we are hosting or taking part at. Lots going on in CFN land. And again, just stay tuned to the page. But in the meantime, if you want to represent, if you're proud of what we do here, if it's something that you want to show off, all the power to you. We'd love to help you out. Our good buddy Richard Dunlop has done a fantastic job getting these wonderful hoodies on the backs of our folks. And of course, I don't have the link with me. This is one freaking thing. Every single live, I forget to bring on the link, but premier.ca is the website. If you go there, you can see it on this page. You can order your CFN official 10th anniversary jersey. And of course, there are short sleeves as well for those who want to beat the heat a little bit and have something that's a little bit more breathable, but still represent, by all means. Premier.ca, as you can see right there, and just go to the CFN link, and the proceeds that are coming to CFN on behalf of the sale of one of those jerseys is going to our Derby on Wheels promotion, and we're well on our way. But what's really cool to see, and we'll be talking about it during Lawrence's segment, is that perhaps maybe it's spawned the interest of some others, and it looks like this Derby on Wheels is taking off. There's a lot of folks that are repeating the idea, so I think it's awesome. The more the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. We need to get out there and get folks fishing. It is. Well, why did it do that? Come on back. Here we go. Obviously, I pressed the wrong button. There we go. So it is our 7th annual CFN retreat at Horwood Lake Lodge, August 10th to 16th. And hear me real clear. There are only 2 beds left. There's only 2 beds left. 2 beds left. 2 of them, I believe, are in my cabin. So if you want to stay up all night listening to me snore, share a story or two, we'll play, Truth Dare and everything else. We'll have a lot of fun. No, I'm just kidding. please reach out to Warren and Doris and get your butt booked in that, or one of the 2 beds. But there's only 2 beds left. Everything else is full. What is not full and still has spots is, of course, Camp McIntosh. Mike will talk a little bit more about that when we go to him. But, of course, it is Monster Monday. And on behalf of Camp McIntosh CFN, we want to take just a minute to enjoy Camp Mac.
And there's a place that I've dreamed of, where I can free my mind. I hear the sounds of the season and lose all sense of time. Feels like we're in a dream, you know what I mean.
So if you're interested to join us, it is our 4th annual OFC Nation retreat up at Camp McIntosh. Andre and Tracy are looking forward to taking your call and getting your butt booked in a bed. It is always a fantastic weekend. Look forward to it each and every year, and this one is going to be no different. It's always a lot of fun. The fish always seem to cooperate, and we always have a heck of a lot of fun. We're going to have Mike Consul coming up right after a word from our sponsor. Stay tuned. There he is, the one and only Mike Consul, and he's here to talk about the CFN Fish Off. Mike, your mic is muted.
Scotty.
There he is, the one and only.
You are glistening, buddy.
I am. I always am. There's MJ.
This
MJ,
is the angler of the year right here.
MJ, I saw your pike. Like, it was like this big.
Did you catch a pike? Yeah. What did you catch?
It was like this big.
What did you catch? Yeah, on the weekend she caught a catfish.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. It was a big one, right?
That's awesome, MJ. Well, Mike, I see you're fostering yet another Canadian angler. Good for you, brother.
Yep. So I bring MJ here because the CFN Fish Off, the long-awaited CFN Fish Off, is coming to every angler in Canada, whatever the age, whether it's two-year-old like MJ or 82-year-old like Scotty. Any age can participate because, oh my gosh, Shimano has stepped up. Last year, they stepped up big. This year, they stepped up even bigger. So I'm proud to reveal what are the categories, but over the next couple of weeks, we'll be revealing what the actual prizes are, and maybe I'll reveal one of those prizes.
Absolutely. Sounds like a plan, Mike, but I will say this. It's awesome to have you back on the show. It's awesome to have you and MJ here on the show. The added touch is I'm going to be smiling during the whole segment because I love seeing MJ. It's awesome. But yeah, a lot of discussions with the judges, lots happening in the background to bring us to where we're at right now. But I'll let you take it from there.
All right, because it's all about community, it's all about family fishing, and it's all about education. And so the dates, August 1st, which is about 6 weeks from now, to September 1st, which is Labor Day. So that's August long weekend, all the way to September long weekend, Labor Day weekend. So you got holiday to holiday to try to catch as many fish as you can, because the more fish you catch, the greater your chances on winning all these various prizes, which will be announced shortly. But let me give you the categories. We have our weekly draws. And so any fish you catch during that week gives you 1 ballot into the weekly draw. And so if you catch 20 sunfish, that's 20 ballots into that draw. And then the following week, if you catch 16 perch plus 4 crappie plus 2 pike, you add that all up and that's 22 ballots. So as many fish as you can catch per week gives you more chances into the weekly draw. And Scottie, give him a hint. It's a combo, right?
It is a combo. It is from Shimano, and we have one for every week for our participants. So again, I can't say enough. You said it best. Shimano has stepped up this whole trip, this whole journey that we've been on, but this year especially, it just seemed like, yeah, I was speechless after we heard what we were getting. It was just like, wow, we're going to be able to turn this all over to our community.
Yes,
fantastic.
And it's free. Oh my gosh. You can win a combo for catching an 8-inch perch without any registration fees. All you got to do is go out and fish.
And Mike, that in itself right there is something that I think, we need to take a second and acknowledge because, yes, you need money to make things work. Totally get it. But in a case like this, when we're able to provide something to our community, and then the reward is these incredible prizes, people will have that tendency to think, well, maybe they should charge for this. Maybe we should, why don't you guys cover your costs? Well, at the end of the day, it would be going against our MO, it would be going against our mission statement. And we want to make fishing as accessible as possible. We had no idea that the future would hold, an eventual meeting between Mike and I and the discussion about the CFN Fish Off to where we are now. And as much as it would be easy to charge for this, Mike is in agreement with me in the sense that, in order to make this successful, in order to stick with our MO and be true to our name, it has to be free. So, however, we have other options that Mike's working on. If you're a little bit more competitive and you want to win cash, there's an option for that too. But I'll wait for Mike to explain all that.
All right. So any kid 17 years or younger, basically, if you don't need a fishing license, every fish that you catch will put a ballot into a hat for you. And there's a kid's prize pack as well, courtesy of Shimano. Now, if you're out there over the, August 1st to September 1st and you catch 5 species, that'll put you in the 5 species prize pack. If you get 10 species, that reel gets even more expensive. So that'll give you in the 10 species prize pack. And then we have our 15 species prize pack, and the prize gets bigger and bigger. Here's the thing though. If you catch 15 species, that automatically gives you 3 ballots into the 5 species prize pack, and that automatically gives you 1 ballot into the 10 species prize pack, including your ballot into the 15 species prize pack. So the more species you catch, the more ballots you get, and the more chances you have on winning some Shimano. We do also have a draw for the largest fish. So largest fish in every species. So let's say you catch the biggest crappie, the biggest pike in terms of length, and the biggest, let's say, creek chub. That gives you 3 ballots into our large fish prize pack. And so you want to try to catch the biggest fish in each category because that will give you 1 ballot per species. And so the prizes keep coming. On the app, when we're using the MyCatch app again, there's an option for a hero shot. But the thing is, I can't see your hero shots. Scottie can't see your hero shots. The community can't see your hero shots. What we want you to do is we want you to take your hero shot, which is automatically saved on your camera roll, and then post it to the CFN Fish Off Facebook page. As many hero shots as you post, that's how many ballots you'll get for our Shimano reel. So share your hero shots with the community because people love seeing your fish pics. Next, we have a foot-long draw. So every single species that you catch over 12 inches will get you a ballot into this draw. So let's say you catch a 12-inch largemouth, a 12-inch smallmouth, a 12-inch crappie is pretty good, a 12-inch salmon, whatever species you catch, as long as it's a foot long, it'll give you a draw, a ballot into this draw. And again, you will win a Shimano reel.
Just when I thought you were going to make it easier for the judges, you go and throw that in.
Shimano's favorite prize is your Shimano prize. So on the app, you can record a video. On that video, we want you to just show a Shimano product. It could be a rod, it could be a reel, it could be some apparel, and show your fish. Say, show my Shimano. Post that video on the CFN Fish Off Facebook page, and that'll give you a ballot into our Show My Shimano prize pack. Next, those are all the draws. We do have some trophy prizes where it's not a draw, but you automatically win if you catch the highest total number of fish. So that could be a guy like Bill Landry catching a whole bunch of walleye, or it could be a kid just off the dock picking off 100 sunfish. I don't know who's going to win this, but as many fish as you want to enter, whoever enters the most fish will win a special prize for a total number of fish. I'm hoping it's a kid that just creek chub after creek chub after creek chub and just enters them. That would be awesome. And then probably our biggest prize is our total length across 10 species. So whether you're in Saskatchewan or BC or in Quebec, we will take your top length of your 10 biggest species and measure it up. Total length across 10 species will win a Shimano reel. And this is the prize I want to reveal today. And they'll show you the caliber of prizes that we have across all the draws, across all their prizes. And it is, oh my gosh, we've never given this away. And it'll be our first time giving it away, and we have a whole bunch of them. We're not just giving one of them away. We're giving a bunch of them away. And it is a Shimano Vanford. Have you tried a Vanford, Scotty?
No.
I got one right before Camp Macintosh last year, and it is now my favorite setup that I have. Super light, super smooth. It looks sexy as well. It is my favorite setup. I like it better than my Stratic. I like it better than any reel I have. So,
you actually, yeah, you'd like it better than the Stratic? Yeah, eh? Wow.
Yeah, it's just so smooth and so light.
You're not alone. I've heard a few people say that, even though they were lovers of that Stratic and had dead loyal to the Stratic. Some of them have bought this Vanford and they feel the same as you.
So you can win a Vanford, and not just by catching 10 species and adding up all the length, but we're going to give away multiple Vanfords. So stay tuned, because every Monday and every Tourney Tuesday we'll be releasing what are all the prizes we're giving out for all those draws. And Scotty, you know what? I talked to the judges. We haven't even told you yet. We're going to keep it all free. There'll be no cash prizes, because this used to be a cash prize. What we want to do is we just want to keep the entire thing free. So there'll be no multi-species madness attached to the CFN Fish Off. It'll just solely be all free prizes, all for the CFN Fish Off.
Then it sounds like, Mike, a multi-species madness is still to happen in 2025.
Say that again?
Is it possible that a multi-species madness is still going to happen at some level? It is possible,
but it won't be in conjunction with the CFN Fish Off.
Right on. Because wouldn't it be cool if we did the Winter Fish Fest, if it was very similar to the multi-species?
It can happen. There's been talks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right on.
All right. So come tournament time, we'll do our weekly tourney Tuesdays, but that won't happen until after August 1st. Again, August 1st to September 1st will be the CFN Fish Off. All you got to do is go to anglersatlas.com/events. It'll be live tomorrow. So if you're watching right now, you got a head start, because it'll be live tomorrow. And we do have, I don't know if you have it on hand, Scotty, we do have an early bird draw for the first 100 anglers that register. So I
knew you were going to ask about it, and you know what, Mike, you're right. I forgot. I just want you to know that some diehard loyal CFN supporters have put together an incredible early bird draw that will basically provide any angler all of the terminal tackle and presentations that you could possibly fish for during the fish off. So, Adrian, who's on here right now, he's put some prizes up for it. We've got Pal Cassing's got some prizes put up. Ugly Boys Baits has an enormous amount of stuff. Put it this way, it's going to be quite a box when it arrives, and you're going to wish you had just entered. After that, you could not fish. But you have taken home probably about $200 worth of prizes, if not more. So it's well worth your while just to enter.
Yep. First 100 anglers. And you know what? I'm going to add a prize right now for the first 50 anglers. So the first 50 anglers that register, there'll be an early bird prize, which will be a $50 gift card to the tackle shop of your choice. And then the first 100 anglers will get that prize pack courtesy of our CFN Fish Off sponsors that Scottie just mentioned. So go to anglersatlas.com/events. Register today. It goes live tomorrow. So make sure you're either the first 50 or the first 100 to be eligible for those early bird draws.
Who's gonna be the first to sign up? Is it gonna be Mark Wolf or is it gonna be Shane Richard?
That's who I was thinking too.
Mark Wolf and Shane Richard. It's gonna be a race to see which one of those two sign up first. I mean, this is a great
with Shane Richard because he's watching right now.
Yeah.
And Mark Wolf is not on this week, but he's always watching.
Always.
But I'm going to go with Shane Richard.
Shane Richard it is. Mike, as always, dude. And when are we going to start our Tourney Tuesdays? The week before the event starts?
Yeah, let's do that the week before the event just to hype it up.
We still do have to do an early bird giveaway, so we'll have to set a date. We'll have to talk about, the last date for that. But, yeah, very cool.
Merrick's saying, what time does it open? I'm not actually sure. The folks at Anglers Atlas sent me the link to preview it. I gave them the thumbs up to make sure all the prizes were up and correct. So once they press live, it is live. It could actually be up a little later on today. I just don't know when they're going to press live, but I know it'll be live come tomorrow.
Yeah, and Tony, you're 100% right. That's usually when the event starts, is midnight, the morning before. But in this case, it will be August. Is it August? What day is the civic holiday? Is it?
Well, August 1st. So at 12:01 a.m. August 1st, all the way to 11:59 a.m. on September 1st.
Beautiful.
August 1st to September 1st. Eastern Standard Time.
Beautiful. Right on, Mikey. I will let you go. I see you got your hands full, and she's got lots of questions, so we'll leave you be. But
time to change the diaper, actually. It's getting full.
All right. Better you than me,
my
friend. Bye, MJ. Bye-bye.
You want to go fishing? Yeah? What do you want to catch? A catfish? Okay.
Bye-bye. We got Kat coming up right after a word from our sponsor. Take care, Mike.
What is Flash Boost? Shimano designed innovative Flash Boost technology. It keeps flashing, which attracts fish whether in a pause or while retrieving. The mirror plate, which is fixed by a spring inside the body, vibrates with the lure action to generate diffuse reflection. Even if you stop the lure action, the inner plate will move and continue to flash, giving the lure a sense of life and inviting a fish bite. This is Flash Boost.
And this is Catherine Cat Bodden. Yes.
Hey there. Nice to see you.
Cat, it is always nice to see you. I tell you,
Thank you.
When I found out you were coming on, I thought, okay, well, there's two things I need to do. I need to prepare myself. So I did some abdominal exercises so that when I start laughing, I'll be conditioned for it. I also went out and got the sun to give me this wonderful red face so that when you embarrass me, it won't look as obvious. The sweat, I can't do anything about. I sweat brushing my teeth. So you got me there. But needless to say, as I said, we always have a lot of fun. The girls over at OWA are a hoot at times, sometimes more than a soft, gentle man like myself can handle. But no, you guys are awesome. And Kat, you're definitely one of them.
Thank you for that.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. And you do have a lot to talk about. But first and foremost, what are you doing to beat the heat?
Well, as I said today, I stayed inside. I actually had some previous job for me was I actually did car and boat interiors and boat tops and things as such. So I do that for friends only, and I just finished that for a neighbor and that today. So I stayed inside and got some stuff done because next couple of months for me is a lot of fishing, a lot of events, and my boat. I got my boat in the water, so took it out on for the first time out on Lake Erie and
Nice.
things as such. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to a summer full of lots of fishing and a lot of spending time with some great friends for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I'll tell you, when it comes to OWA, you guys always have a mess of events every single year. I'm not sure who is the one that does all the planning, if it's a team effort that puts forth all these events, but man, you ladies are busy.
Yeah, how it works is actually we have a volunteer team, and then what happens is that we just all get together for a meeting online, and we're all Zoom queens too. We use Zoom a lot, and we just decide chat with who wants to do what, and then we work together in teams. And we just do the event, set the events up that way, and it goes depending on where your location is, because I am myself doing a lot of, my events. I focus a lot on the southwestern Ontario because I'm from Waterloo, and we've got quite a few ladies that have signed up since COVID in our area. So we're trying to get as much advertising and especially with intro to fishing and that type of stuff. We're wanting to get as much, education out there as we possibly can for sure.
And I know before we went live, we talked a little bit about it, and just to set the record straight, Yvonne has not disappeared from OWA.
She's still our OWA queen, and we love her dearly. And as I said, she's taking a rest time right now, and it's just a matter of we're having a big event actually coming up this weekend for volunteers. And and Yvonne, like she always does, she's giving back to us. And we're very, very grateful for her. And what she's done is she just invited all the volunteer team, and also the ones that have been from the past, and then some of the ones that are actually interested in becoming members of the volunteer team, just to come and check us out and make sure that, that this is where they want to be, and things as such. So we're really looking forward to that. And that's this weekend coming up at Elbow Lake. And I love going there. That's one of my favorite spots because the bass and the crappie are amazing there. And it's just a fun atmosphere. And, we're looking forward to, there's some people I haven't never met, and yeah, looking forward to seeing how the newbies can handle us oldies. So it's going to be.
Well, I will say this. I haven't been at this as long as Yvonne has, but I will say there is no better feeling, and I can imagine she is sitting watching this right now with a big smile on her face. There's no better feeling when you've started something, and of course the world needs leaders. We all need leaders, without question. But leaders love to see others take the lead. And when you have set a precedent and have envisioned what it is that you want to see, and others pick up the slack, pick up the flag, and start carrying it, there's no better feeling. That's all I can say without getting emotional or whatever. It's just awesome to see other people believe in what you're doing and carry forward with it. That's, again, so good on you, and good on a whole host of OWA ladies that have really stepped up in a time of opportunity and have done so with, just such class and such a vengeance. I tell you, when it comes to the news feed on Facebook, it's really all I see.
Oh yeah, Sarah Watson's gifted, and she's very inspired and has some great music there, and has a lot of fun with that, and that's been the great thing, because the biggest thing is that I find with myself personally with OWA is the fact is that everybody is given the opportunity to find where their strengths are, and we complement each other, because we're not all gifted in all areas. And but what we are able to do is, because of that diversity in the volunteers and going from age group to background and all that type thing, we're able to create things like that. But no, Sarah Watson's a blast to work with, and Yeah, she's very gifted in that area, and really appreciate that. And so is Jen. And there's so many ladies. I don't want to miss anybody, but yeah, there's a lot of gifted ladies for sure.
We're lucky to have a same, I would say, equal group over on this side doing the same thing. Like when we started photo edits, I didn't know what the heck I was doing,
Right.
and then to see Steve step up like he has, like, I mean, when you see some of his stuff, you'd swear there was no learning curve. Like he was like Walt, and he just jumped in, and he was a graphics designer from birth. But yeah, I tell you, it's awesome to see a collective effort, especially when it has to promoting anglers, Canadian anglers, that is, but of course the OWA ladies. And there's enough of them that are out getting their lines wet each and every weekend. Very, very active, as they've participated in our CFN Fish Off before. So to the OWA ladies, keep up the incredible work.
Thank you for that, Scott. I appreciate it.
On that note, and as busy as you are, we have a lot to talk about, and it has a lot to do with these events that are upcoming, of which I believe you have 6 total events, including the one at Christmas.
Right. And I mean, and that the first one that's actually coming up on July 5th is actually our intro to fishing. And that one is one that I personally love being involved in as one of the volunteers that go there, because it's great to see some ladies coming out, all different ages we've experienced that have come out for that. And I mean, and just, biggest thing is that the experience is just they're a little bit nervous about coming out, and about what we've been able to do is we've never had an experience for the ladies that have come that have not left, and they feel excited about being there, and they really enjoy it. And then we have to hold them back to prevent them from going and spending their whole week's paycheck on gear. So like and that's exciting. And with that, what we've done is we make sure that we also offer that if they want one of the volunteers or somebody with a little bit more experience to go with them, so that they make sure they're not spending, like I foolishly did many times, way too much money in my shop to my stop at the tackle shop. So this program, as I said, you can see right there, July 5th, 9 to 3. Biggest thing is just a matter of it's for education purposes and fish identification, learning about what you're buying, why you're buying it, and how to rig bait lures and plastics and that type thing. And it's the biggest thing is we're open, very, very much open to making sure that we make everybody feel comfortable to ask as many questions. There's no such thing as a foolish question. And I mean, we want everybody to feel open and comfortable to be able to do that. So as you'll see on there too, the registration's open April 22nd at 6 p.m. And this is open, of course, to individuals that are non-members of OWA. So just go and check that out. Like all of the sites for that, you can just go on to www.ontariowomen.anglers.ca, and you'll see all the list of all of the events that are actually on there. This is posted on our OWA Facebook site as well, and the link is always is available right on there as well. Yeah, very cool. So that's our first event.
And if anybody's looking for the link, Steve is doing an incredible job as always, putting the links there.
Thank you for that, Steve. I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So you're able to just copy and paste that. It'll take you right to where you need to go in order to get signed up. So Steve, thanks again for that. Your next event in chronological or in order of basically of months and of the year is the virtual derby, the Bass Derby that you ladies are holding. And tell us a lot about this.
Yeah, well, this one here is a lot of fun. And the reason being is just because this is when then you'll see the true nature of the competitiveness of some of us ladies come out. And it's also great to see that we can, having husbands, wives, partners, of it, to do this as well. And this is actually from August 2nd to 4th, and it's 8 to 4 p.m. each day. And you can fish one or all 3 of the days. It's completely up to you what you do. And of course, the way that it goes, you do not have to be a member, but you need to have at least one person on that team that is a member. And I mean, and the teams you can do it like one person, or you can actually do it for 2. But if there's one person, you have to be a member. And if there's 2, at least one of that team has to be a member. Fun thing about this is it's remote. So it's anywhere you want to fish inside your community. Biggest thing is just making sure that, keep your eye on what the regulations are. and so that you know what you're fishing for, and just making sure that everything's in season, and making sure that size wise is a big thing, is making sure you're not keeping fish that are especially with walleye and that type thing. You want to make sure that the sizing goes in accordance to your zone. And as you'll see, the prices there is $50 per team, and then $25 per person. Great thing about this is the registration is open now, and because of the fact it's virtual, it does not have a limit of how many people can enter. And with this too, the same thing as it always happens is there's some great picture taking with that. And and just make sure that with all of our events that you do, take lots of pictures and then just put it back in to the Facebook site. Because what happens as everybody signs up for these events, a Facebook site is created for that event. And so we can communicate with each other and egg each other on, and get each other going and enjoying the day. And we've had some hilarious photos. I think someday it would be great just to do a book that is just some of the hilarious photos that we've seen. So it's a really fun day.
I can only imagine. And now that I think of it, because of the date of this event, folks that are attending here can also submit fish to the CFN Fish Off. It's basically the same weekend.
Good to know. Thank you for that. That's good.
That's really cool. And again, it's free to anyone to join. You only have to submit one fish. Kat, you've done this, so only one fish can win you a prize. So it doesn't take a lot, but of course we want to make sure that the health of the fish is paramount. So we don't want to spend a lot of time. This is obviously the number one focus, but if you've got a live well or you've got a very live fish and you want to enter something, by all means, you can do it.
Yeah.
Beneficial.
And and the bigger thing is too is that I'm a little bit jealous of the Shimano reels that you guys are having there. So it just sort of inspires me to maybe decide to do a little bit of fishing towards and putting it in for the CFN as well. But the biggest thing is, I know that we always say too is it is also very important to make sure that when you're taking the picture of your fish on the measure board, make sure the fish is clean. And having pictures of you holding a fish and you got the blood running down your arm, or it's all over your measure board and everything, just have respect for the fish and just keep the pictures clean. I know that's really important with OWA, to respect the sport for sure.
100%. Well said, Kat. I couldn't have said it better myself. Well done. Now, moving right along, of course, your next event is the Deer Creek Camping Social.
Yes.
I bet this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, we ended up spending a day, and that's what we're finding out is I'm finding out. I'll speak for myself on that. Is it's always really wise when you're setting up these events that if you go to the event just for one day, just go to that location for the one day, check things out, and find out whether or not how much the ladies enjoyed it. And that's why we always do reviews after each event, so we can find out whether or not it's going to be a yay or nay for next year. And this one we had a really good time. There wasn't a large number of ladies, but those ladies had a big voice and they really loved it. And and it was great because I was pro staff with Das King, so I brought I think 4 kayaks with me, and so I was able to loan those out to the ladies that didn't have those available to them. And it was hilarious seeing them getting in the kayak for the first time. And there is some really nice sunfish in there, and like right now with timing too, the bass, because I was standing there on the edge watching the water, and I'm going, we were too early last year because bass wasn't open yet, but there's some really nice bass in there. And also for me personally, there's some really big carp in there too, which is really nice as well. So this year we're going to be actually doing this as a camp over, and the camping site is really nice as well. And there's not much that far of a travel distance between your campsite and where you're going to be fishing, which is really great as well. So once again, that's at Deer Creek Conservation Area, Langton, Ontario. And this is an event, we just opened it up, and Yvonne was just going to put it up, that this is actually going to be available open to for individuals that are non-members as well. And I think she was just going to open that up today to non-members. So check it out. As I said, it's a lot of fun. And Tia Carter is actually looking after this, and Tia is amazing. And she's a young firecracker, very full of wisdom when it comes to fishing and boating. So as I said, she's a great help and leader in this area for sure.
Absolutely. Great ambassador for ladies angling
For
and
sure.
women at large, for that matter. So,
Mhm.
yes, I couldn't agree more. Up next, I believe it is your Rice Lake event.
Yes, and this is fun too. This is in I can never pronounce this right. I think it's Roseneath or Roseneath at the Alpine Resort, and gorgeous area there too. You can see the price tag is 175 per person, and this is an annual event for us too, and it goes for the 18th to the 21st. And this one as well is just one that if you go onto the OWA site, you can see all the information that's actually there on that. And what we usually do with most of our events that are like our more than one day, like 3 days event, we do it where we look after our breakfast and our lunch. And then usually what we do is we do like a buffet style. And so like we'll all chip in and we'll have a couple meals that we'll actually all have together. And what that does is that just builds camaraderie as well. And this we do at Rice Lake as well as the Deer Creek one. They'll probably be doing a barbecue and that type thing together as well. So yeah, so that, and the registration for that opens on April 22nd for that, which has already opened. So it's so there are room available for that as well. And that's one too, is that you can bring your own boat to that one as well if you're wanting to do that.
Now, would I say that you are the best person to reach out to if anybody has any questions about any of these events? They
Yeah, all the events. If you're wanting to chat about that, actually go online. It's just a matter of going on to the info at OWA101@gmail.com, or and there'll be somebody there, like a Jen will probably get back to you on that. Yes, because you'll just see it right on. Once again, right on. If you go into the Ontario Women Anglers site, www.ontariowomenanglers.ca. You can just once again, there's actually an address on there too that you can click to ask any questions. And don't be afraid to ask questions too on the Facebook site, because there's always somebody checking that out. And I mean, and if it's not one of the volunteers that'll answer, there's going to be somebody that answers, because they're just as excited as that person is about going. So yeah, there's always somebody that's going to be able to answer your questions for you.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, girl. I don't want you to stop, so we'll just keep the train going. Sure. Next up, of course, is one that I wish I could attend. This is the intro to muskie fishing, because I'll tell you, I am a beginner when it comes to muskie.
Well, and for me, this is something that is this is a desire that I have had for over like 60 years. Well, I'd say more 50, because I've never caught a muskie. And I mean, and just where I was this past weekend at Big Moose Lodge, this place was known for muskie. And of course, all I caught was pike and not one muskie, right? So this is an event that it's worth it. And I mean, I have gone to this, more than once. And I mean, and this is one that we do it in a shift, as you'll see on this here as well. So we got a group that go out in the morning and a group that go out in the afternoon. And and what we do is we have actually a group of from the muskie, a muskie charter that actually comes with their boats. The members come with the boats that actually provide us the rides out and the equipment and everything, and also the education. And I mean, and as I said, to be able to know what we're doing, and you can see it's Muskies Canada, and then the Muskies Canada Incorporated and that type thing. And I mean, and that was what was exciting for me, is just learning. And I mean, and listening to these guys on the importance of patience. And I mean, if you're coming to this event and you're expecting that you're going to make sure before you sign up for this event, you understand that muskie is a dream come true fish, and it takes time, and it's not something that, that you're going to come to and you're going to catch them bang on. That's just not the reality of that species. So, but it's definitely worth going to just for the experience of learning. And I mean, and I had a fish last year I followed my line right in and went right under the boat and kept right on going. Caused me tears. I wanted to sing feelings for the next 20 minutes because my heart was so crushed, but at least I seen it, and that was more than worth it. So, and as I said, and with having the experience of all the muskie anglers there and just listening to their wisdom is so worth it. So OWA members, $50, non-members, $60. And I mean, and the raffle table at this event is great. And once again, we have a lot of different sponsors, Shimano included. and all of the equipment is provided. So you have a great time with that for sure. And you'll see it's at Scotsman Point, and that's in Buckhorn, Ontario. So yeah.
And is that on upper or lower Buckhorn?
That's a good question.
Because I'll tell you, I think it's lower Buckhorn. But see, in Buckhorn, it does jade you. If you're a muskie angler, I mean, the Ottawa River is another paradise for muskie anglers. But Buckhorn, it gives up quite a few muskie, and it is not a great representation sometimes of what it is like to be a muskie angler. It
Right.
used to be a fish of 1,000 casts. I think some would argue that it's a fish of 10,000 casts.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Buckhorn, you get a lot more incidentals than
It's a sweet spot. It's a sweet spot. And I said, and that's definitely, why the decision to go there, why that's the spot to go to is, we want to provide as many, as much opportunity as we possibly can. And I mean, and so you might, go to the sweet spot if they're there, right? So that's 100%. The way to do it for sure.
100%. Now, last but not least, of course, this is the event that pulls it all together, and hopefully, it's a night that you ladies let your hair down, you have a grand old time, sing a few Christmas carols, have a few wobbly pops and some eggnog, and I can imagine this is a hoot itself too.
Yeah. This is a fun time. And I mean, and for me personally, what I do is I end up going the night before. And because I'm just so excited, I know I'm not going to sleep anyways. So I might as well just go. And then usually what the ladies will do is, there'll be a bunch of us that'll go out for dinner before, at the restaurant by the hotel or something like that. Guest speakers are different every year. And I mean, once again, for the number of years that I've been going, because I've gone to the Christmas banquet ever since I became a member. And I mean, and I'm sorry, but because of my age and things as such, I can't remember. I don't know how long I've been with OWA. So, but it's been over, I think it's 8 or 9 years. I'm not sure. So, but the big thing about this is it's not only about the fishing. It's about the ladies getting together and just having a good time and just saying Merry Christmas to each other, and also having the opportunity to listen to the guest speakers, because I have never been disappointed with the guest speakers that are brought in. And I mean, it's verbal diarrhea time for us ladies, because we're in that room and we've got the opportunity to ask all the questions that we want to ask. And I mean, and it's also an amazing time to share gifts, give cards to each other, give each other a Christmas hug. Food is amazing. And I mean, and once again, and usually with that too, is we've got a lot of raffle prizes that are available. And, and I won myself a good, pop over type for ice fishing and things as such. So yeah, we always have a good time. And that's Saturday, November 29th. And that's at the AFA Hunting and Fishing Heritage Center. And that's in Peterborough and McNamara. And it's in the all set up beautiful. You can go and view all the taxidermied animals and fish and things as such. So yeah, it's really beautiful there. Really enjoy it. Yes. And I love the food. Love the food.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So November 29th, if you are not a lady, do not be around the OFA. No, I'm just kidding. Or your face will be as red as mine. I can assure you.
Yeah. So as I said, and it and what happens if you check up on these events actually come up, because there's different sign-in days and everything for them, and they come up online. And I mean, give them, we give lots of time for people to sign up. And I mean, and there are events too. There's ones that that I make sure that I'm on the computer, because some of our events that we have do fill up very quickly. And I mean, so if you're wanting to go to that event, make sure that you're online, because I mean, some of them, as I said, this one here, the Intro to Fishing, we've only got 12 spots available for that. So I mean, and that's why you want to make sure you read what the articles say, and that so that about if you want to go, just get your name in there, because as I said, we have had some disappointed people that weren't able to make it to certain events. So okay.
And it is tough again. I mean, as I said, your community's large, and you want to make sure that there's a spot for everyone, but it's just not realistic, unfortunately. And as much as we'd love the whole community to be there participating, it's tough, especially now. I mean, travel in itself we see it with just tournament angling. You know, tournament numbers are down, and it's all a lot to do with cost. People just
right,
can't.
and we have the same thing, Scotty, too. Is we got some people that are, you know, I've heard them say, well, they don't want to go because they don't feel they have the proper gear, and that's a great thing about the volunteer team. And I mean, the fact is as long as it's communicated to us, we'll make sure you have the proper gear. And you know, because all of us ladies do have an addiction problem to tackle. You know, and I mean, and you know, we're upfront about that. And I mean, it just the fact is that if we don't have it, we probably know somebody that does. And I mean, even OWA has some of themselves that they use, you know, to make sure that ladies have something. And we want to make sure that nobody's afraid to ask, because we've got your back. That's what we're here for.
That's so awesome. Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
On that note, I can't think of any more questions to ask, even though there's probably a million I'd like to. But what species of fish have you been targeting lately? I know you love your carp. Your catfish is another one that you love targeting. Where are you at right now? Is it all bass or?
As I said, the last weekend was the bass, because I mean, for some reason at this event that I went to, and it was actually with Canadian Sportswomen's Society, because I also took up hunting. And by the way, I won a shotgun, not a shotgun, a rifle. I went to one of those fundraisers where was it, in Barrie, and I put 3 tickets in, and I thought, well, it's not going to work for me because it's too short you know, because I'm got really long arms, and I those 3 tickets and my name got drawn, so I now own a rifle. So, but
you also, speaking of rifle and lightning and thunder, you were dealing with quite a storm this past weekend. Up in our north.
We were in Corbeil, Ontario, and I mean, and up on just in a little lake, just off, not that far from Lake Nipissing, and I mean, and like we had the ladies on the porch, and we watched you know, the lime green sky and things that happening, and we had, you know, the heat wave lightning, and then we had big bolts, and caused a little bit of discomfort, and then we ended up finding on the 6 o'clock news tonight that there was, you know, some devastation, like in some of the communities that weren't far from us. But you know, it just wasn't ordained for us. So I mean, we all had a great time, had a great sleep while the thunder was rolling on the tin roof, and so we're very, very thankful for that. So it was good. It was a great weekend. Had a great time for sure.
Well, you know what, Kat, we're so thankful for you spending some time with us tonight. If folks have any interest in any of these events or any questions about these events, you can contact Kat or any other OWA member, and they'll certainly fill you in. Or just go, as Kat said, www.ontariowomananglers.ca, and again, check into the website, check out some of their links, and get informed, get active, and participate in female fishing at its finest.
Why, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Thanks so much, Kat. And
you're more than welcome, Scotty. Have a great weekend. Don't get too ready.
No, you were kind tonight. You were very,
you want to protect that bald head of yours. Remember that.
Right on, Kat. We'll talk to you soon. You take care.
Have a good one. Good night.
We got Lawrence Gunther coming up right after a word from our sponsor. All the best, Kat. There he is, Lawrence T.
How you doing?
Gunther. How you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy. Good.
Always a pleasure to have you each and every Monday, and of course, filling in. Jim's not able to make it tonight, and of course, our good buddy Jay is probably still trying to peel off his waders from today's events out in the field.
Wow!
But you look cool. You look like you're comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a work day with the team. I got these two great students I'm trying to keep occupied, and they're just gobbling up the work and spitting it right back at me. So that's a challenge. Plus everything on top of that, we just put the newsletter out on came out this morning, the June issue of the Bluefish newsletter. So that's out and about, and just plugging away, my friend, and trying to stay cool today.
No kidding. There are a ton of great articles in the newest edition to Bluefish Canada News, but let's get to the scuttlebutt that's going on. There seems to be a lot of controversy right now, a lot of discussion, good and bad, mostly bad, from our West Coast, where it seems, even though we have talked, I think, Lawrence, at great length about how certain areas are still, good and thriving. However, some areas are still suffering and not doing so well. But it seems as if there might be even more drastic measures taken to restrict recreational fishing. You take it from there.
Yeah, I got a call from the BC Anglers Association, and they're upset. They said the Minister of Fisheries is thinking of closing down even more of the recreational fishing in southern BC to preserve and protect the southern resident killer whales, and they just don't understand the approach that's being taken. And we talked about this, and they're circulating a petition. They're trying to generate some support in the government to maybe postpone or halt this latest closure. Every time they circle an area on the map and they say no fishing for the rest of the season, for all those coastal communities, all those outfitters, all the guides, all the hotels and restaurants, it's just a death sentence, And even for the anglers themselves, Scottie, if you can't put your $150,000 boat in the water again, you've got to start questioning, why do I own this boat?
Well, it's a great point that you make, and I think as hard as things are right now when it comes to our industry, this is going to deal a huge blow. And because there's a lot of money spent on our West Coast for targeting these species of fish, and all species of fish for that matter. But you bring up a great point. Like it's going to decrease number of new boat sales. The amount of tackle, I'm sure, is going to drop dramatically because people aren't going to be fishing. Licenses. I mean, there's no end to the trickle down effect that this is going to have on the BC industry. And is there any light at the end of the tunnel?
The closures have been coming steadily every year, more and more. And, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and then people start to give up, right? So the light at the end of the tunnel is blinking out for a lot of these anglers, recreational anglers, and people involved in the fishing industry, where these closures have been repeatedly, just driving away their customers, driving away their business, and burying their hopes of being able to go fishing. When they have been getting out fishing, the numbers have been really solid on the Chinook salmon. They're catching more Chinook salmon this year than in many cases than they have in many years. It's the fishing has been, my friend said she was out yesterday and her arms were hanging off her body. She had to stop. She just couldn't do it anymore. And this is a woman who's caught fish all over the world, sailfish, marlin, you name it. She's got 105-pound Chinook salmon to her name. She's caught big fish, but she said the fishing this year is just extraordinary. So it's hard to imagine what is possessing the government to take this action.
100%. So there's a few questions here in the comments, and of course, for those who, you can't always listen to every news article, but there is a heightened awareness right now of what's going on our West Coast. Lawrence and I have been talking about this at great length over the course of the many CFN lives we've done. The BC salmon fishing is in a bit of peril right now, more so than ever. There are some runs that are doing very, very well, and as Lawrence just indicated, there are anglers out there that are still having out of the park days when it comes to numbers. But unfortunately, in order to ensure there is a good food base for the killer whales, especially more to the south, I would imagine, than to the north, There might be some areas that are going to be closed on top of the areas that are already closed. We're hoping that doesn't happen, but it would basically, the information that we have currently right now, and Lawrence has dug up, would indicate that it seems like that's the direction they're going, and it's too bad.
It's too bad. And where's the science, right? Where's the science backing all this up? And that's what's missing. I think if there was solid science that proved, that these measures were absolutely needed to turn this around, and that it could be turned around, those two questions, I think there'd be a lot more support. But and everything else that the Recreational Industry Association and all the organizations out there that promote and sustain recreational fishing on the West Coast, everything else they've been proposing, in terms of moving sanctuaries that would follow these orcas around and create a sort of a no-go zone within a certain range so that they could be left in peace to feed, which is what a lot of the environmentalists say. They just need to be left alone, given the terrain to recover and rebuild. They said we can do that. We talked about Garmin technology. They have this new technology that can alert all boats with the GPS and satellite communication and VHF information that hey, here the orcas are here, so you got to stay away from this zone. This is pretty common technology now to avoid whale strikes and to give whales a chance to sort of feed without excessive noise. So this technology exists. They're talking about the selective mark fishery to make sure they're leaving the wild Chinook to repopulate and just taking out some of the stock fish for themselves for recreational angling. They've talked about, there's been science done. Are there enough fish in the water to feed the orcas? Yes or no? And according to the scientists that look into this, they say there is enough Chinook in there. And they say, in fact, the case is the southern resident killer whales are not just Chinook salmon eaters. They eat ground fish. They're eating other types of fish species. And they're not as selective as we think they are, or we told they are. And when they leave that area, they go to other places and they're eating other species of fish. We also know that a salmon eating, species of killer whale that prefer salmon, the northern resident killer whales are growing in number. Their numbers are surpassed 300, and they're pushing south, and they're pushing into the territory of the southern resident killer whales. And they're not kissing cousins, right? These two, the southern and the northern residents, they're not going to intermix. They're not going to say, hey, bro, how you doing? Yeah, not at all. These whales are competitive, vicious, and aggressive, and they're not going to, if the weaker ones surrender the territory to the more aggressive, stronger northern ones, then they're being pushed out. Is that a salmon access issue? Sure it is. They're being pushed out of probably the most, the best parts of their territory by the northern residents. The noise issue interfering with their feeding. This is southern BC. There's ships, cargo ships moving in and out of the Salish Sea, all the time, ferries all the time, tour boats all the time, commercial, recreational vessels of all sorts all the time. So yeah, there's noise. So, just to say, hey, it's the recreational angling boats that are making the problem, and we can get rid of them with one, but we're not going to do anything about all the other noisemakers out there. So, I mean, it just seems that the anglers feel that they're an easy target, that this is placating the advocates that are fighting on behalf of saving the southern resident killer whales, who are looking for some movement, some action to be taken. And this is one, that maybe government feels they can take this action because there's no, the economic, I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know. Why pick on all these little guys?
Well, it's interesting because, there's a few comments here, one of which I want to bring up that Richard's asking. We have talked about the farming of salmon, especially in the migration paths. Has that had an effect to some of these closures, or some of these closures a result of that? Well, I don't think anybody would admit to it Richard, if it was. But I do know that, unfortunately, as hard as we lobbied to have a lot of these nets taken down and to remove a lot of these farm salmon, it was going to come at a cost. And are these closures a response to that? It could be. It could be, because Bill brings up a great point. Instead of shutting down the rod and reel anglers, we should just shut down netting, which of course we know attributes to a lot of the take in the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a direct result? I don't know, but I'm sure cumulatively over time it would be for sure. And I'd have to say, not to upset any of our First Nations that follow the page, but there has to be a balance. And if we're trying to balance with us, the whales and First Nations, that's not easy to do right from the get-go.
Yeah, I think that the problem when you see something sort of fall apart like this, like a recreational fishery that involves so many thousands and tens of thousands of people and so many pocketbooks, right? People start to point fingers and look at each other. No, you're to blame. No, you're to blame. And this one scientist told me, who's been studying this with all sorts of money and grants and resources, maybe these whales, it's just time, right? It's just everything's working against them, and maybe there's nothing we can do about it. And if you look at all the commercial activity in the south part of BC, all the ships, everything that's going on, maybe it's just, we have a shifting climate. The oceans are warming, the salmon are doing much better in the north than they are in the south. There's all sorts of issues, but maybe there's just nothing that can be done. And just by giving these sacrifices, like sacrificing the recreational angling sector, you're not helping necessarily. Maybe you're just prolonging.
Yeah.
But maybe you're not helping. It's just a gesture, and that's what they feel, that they're just being put on the altar of sacrifice to calm down the advocates, the whale advocates, and they're feeling like no one's hearing them. That they're the victims, and
No,
this has been going on for years. It's been going on.
It is, and it's probably going to go on for a little bit longer. And as I said, what I find so confusing is, there was a declaration made that Trump was going to pull out of whatever initiative it was that Biden set up, where agreement basically. Well, here's the actual headline: Trump pulls U.S. from plan to recover salmon population, calling it radical. It says the president grievously wrong. The group say president is grievously wrong after withdrawing from the Biden-led deal to protect fish in the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. So with that happening, and then on top of the news that also was shared by Bluefish Canada of the 1.8 million, which actually, when you add all of the initiatives together, is going to come up to a huge number, 15 million. Mm-hmm. In my eyes, anyway, that's a big number. But I know when it comes to fish revitalization and restoration and maintenance, 15 million is probably just spitting in the ocean. But when you see these kind of news articles being associated with the very one that we're talking about, then what are these in cooperation with the closures? Because at the end of the day, if you're going to close this fishery down as a recreational angler, I'm going to be like, well, okay, well, what are we doing? While I'm not able to fish, what are we doing to bring this back? Or are we just letting Mother Nature do it?
There is people who are just against fishing, right? And you can't ignore the fact that a lot of environmental groups on the West Coast are being led, have board of directors, have membership that are made up of people who are against fishing, who are against eating fish, who are against eating anything with a face, right? Vegetarian, vegan, in many cases, they have, and they see this as an opportunity to advance their cause. Mm-hmm. And that's certainly, there's no love lost there, right? There's no love lost there. They're not going to turn against their allies, the First Nations fishers, and that they, often throw in with in terms of, blocking oil pipes and other sorts of developments, because they're allies, and they've been, and they feel, the environmental groups feel that they can get more done with the First Nations as allies. But have they tried to ally with recreational anglers? Look what we see in all parts of a lot of Canada. You see environmental groups, you see, all sorts of NGOs who are reaching out, working with recreational anglers to do community science. That's more the case than not. And yet you don't see this so much out on the West Coast. You still see a lot of elbows up. You still see a lot of finger pointing between the environmental groups and the fishing groups. And is it politics? I mean, in BC, the Conservatives and the NDP are ferocious, right? Politics out there is a bloodbath.
Yeah.
So there's that happening too. This is not going to be a simple one, but it's going to takes people have to sit down. There has to be some transparency. People have to be heard, and people have to be, everyone has to have a chance to say their piece. Everyone needs to listen, and all that information has to be put on the table, and then some consensus. And I think that's the problem here, is that these decisions are being taken without sort of consultation, right? And the information, people feel that their information is just not being heard.
Well, I will say too, I'm not even a BC recreational angler, but I have fished BC, and I will say it'll be a shame to hear of any closures that have to take place on top of what has already been declared. But it always seems, in all the years that I've known you and have been following some of these news stories, it's always the recreational angler that takes it on the chin the hardest. Yeah. Obviously there are quota limitations from a commercial aspect. First Nations are asked to also follow suit. But of course, there's no governing body to really hammer that home or enforce it. And then, the only ones that's easy to do is the recreational angler. So you know what? We'll slap more closures. And yeah, I can't imagine trying right now. And of course, one of the questions that came up here, just in case people aren't aware, this is not only driven from a provincial aspect, but is also a federal, because DFO is now involved in this. So this is not only provincial wide, but this is going to be a federal initiative as well, whether they like it or not. And they're going to have to step in, because I think this is going to get ugly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to get ugly, and there's politics involved. There's land rights. There's, these massive marine sanctuaries. There's these indigenous protected and conserved areas that have been announced recently. Huge, swaths of ocean, highly productive ocean in terms of the fishery, coastal territory. So you have that going on. You have, you have a whole bunch of issues going on, climate change talks. You have all the loss of salmon, the blockage of the Fraser River because of the Big Bar landslide. You have a lot of issues and you mentioned the aquaculture industry too. Where else do you see the aquaculture industry getting kicked out? I mean, it's these people have their gloves off, right? There's people with their gloves off out on the West Coast.
Well, this is my concern from the get-go, Lawrence, is that the harder we cry, the harder we scream for change. It always comes at a cost. Okay, we'll do this. We'll take the nets away. We'll do that. But you know what, recreational anglers, you're going to have to take it because you're easy targets. At the end of the day, they can't go to First Nations because that'll cause uprising.
I don't think there's no allies there. There's no
exactly. No. And of course, the commercial angler, I mean, that probably was a tough pill to swallow, the last decrease in quotas that they took. But really, as you mentioned, it's one big parent conglomerate that runs the entire commercial fishing industry out there. So, he or she, I'm not sure who it is taking on
Jim Patterson. Yeah.
Okay. But at the end of the day, all we're hearing about closures to recreational angling, and it's just because we're an easy target, and that in itself is the part that upsets me. let's do the easy stuff. Let's not do the hard stuff. Let's not get our hands dirty. Let's not cause an uprising when we don't need to. Let's just go after the recreational anglers. We'll take a little bit of heat and then it'll all go away.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to go away in this case.
No, people are taking sides. You're just creating bigger rifts and gulfs between the sides, and it's maybe you think, well, it's politics and it's all fair in politics. Politics can be a dirty game, right? And there's that happening. It's just getting brutal. It's just getting brutal, and you see examples where it works, right? And like Port Alberni, where everyone sits at the table and DFO just basically takes notes, and it's all, they present the statistics and everyone sits down, all the stakeholders, and sit down. Okay, you get this, you get that, and we get this, and then the rest go through. Or first, I should say, sorry, the first quota goes to letting the salmon go through, and once enough have gone through to properly spawn and take occupy all the spawning habitat, then they say, okay, the rest that's surplus, man. We can divide up the rest. And they divide it up, and they've created proper habitat. They've restored the habitat for the migrating salmon, and it's doing really well. The Port Alberni Inlet is doing really well, and you have big returns of fish in that system. And in the commercial, the First Nations, the recreational, they all do well. They're all doing well, and you see other numbers of returns this year, that are being announced. Between the pink and the sockeye, record levels of returns.
Yeah. So maybe we just have to be like the whales and change our diet. I'm not trying to.
Yeah. No, I know. I hear you, man. Yeah.
To be like this, I don't know. I hope we're doing our homework. I hope we're also writing a lot of what we're deciding down to see if, in fact, if God forbid the Great Lakes have to go through this kind of scenario, and then we don't have netting and we don't have a lot of First Nation catch when it comes to salmon out this way. So I think we don't have the same variables at play as they do out west. But at the end of the day, let this be a benchmark for all of us to take notice of, because really, this isn't going to be the last time a species of fish is in danger. But I just hope we're doing it right. And the only thing I see, which is like every other situation, we start with the easy people. We go after the easy targets because we don't want to deal with the rest. And Andrew, you're 100% right. First Nations have a right, and we have to make sure that they're able to exercise that right, because that is the binding agreement that we have with our First Nations folk. We also have to plead with them about balance. And, from a commercial aspect, it's very hard to do that. But from a rod and reel person who takes, 2 or 3 a year or 2 or 3 a week, it's not as tough of a sell. But when it comes to the commercial aspects and the fact that it involves provincial and federal governments, this is a powder keg, in my opinion. So,
yeah. And the question is, like, Scottie, you keep mentioning, is it the right answer? Where's the data? Where's the science? It's precautionary approach, but that's supposed to be based on science, not just decisions taken in conference rooms by a handful of people. This is supposed to be science led, and so where is the science?
100%, buddy. Yeah. We'll get into some positive news, if you will. Some other stuff that I think was really interesting. Johnny Morris and Bass Pro Shops donate more than 40,000 rods and reels nationwide.
Across North America. So I wouldn't have put it in the news if they didn't say North America, but they're saying North America. So this is Cabela's Bass Pro Shop. I'll becoming Bass Pro Shop slowly but surely. But 40,000, that's not a bad number of rods and reels, right? That's not bad.
Nearly 500,000 rods and reels have been donated by youth-focused nonprofit organizations
to these groups from the Johnny Morse Foundation, right? However, almost 500,000 rods and reels in the last 20 years, 10 years, I don't remember.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's a lot of rods and reels. Here's a guy. He knows got to invest, right? You got to invest, and you got to pay to play. And if he wants to keep his businesses successful and attracting new customers, retaining customers and attracting new customers, it's a lot more expensive to attract new customers. But then you might have them for life, right? They become fans, they become loyal. So I'm not being cynical here, but he's a big one in conservation, and Johnny Morris, and he also is a pretty sound businessman. So he knows what it takes. Recruiting young people to fishing has been the big challenge in Canada and the United States. They've been pushing to get back to 60 million anglers in the U.S. For a number of years now, and they're inching up slowly. But things like this really help.
100%. Another article that is near and dear to my heart, just because we just recently made an announcement here at CFN that we have become the official podcast for Kayak Bass Canada. And I want to thank Aaron Dodd and the folks over there at KBC for their involvement and support in what we're doing here at CFN. But the rise of fishing kayaks and how they've quietly transformed Canadian angling. Outdoor Canada obviously wrote an article on this, but what has happened in the last, let's say, decade from a kayak fishing perspective is hard to even put into words. How these car doors have evolved into these flotillas of fishing functionality. It's just unbelievable to me what you're able to buy, what you're able to hook and mount on a kayak. But yeah, I mean, speak to this. Obviously, with boat sales starting to creep down and things becoming more and more expensive, a kayak is a lot more of a attainable goal, let's say.
And you have young people, living at home longer, right?
Yep.
They don't have the money to go out and buy their own home with a garage for the boat, let alone buy a boat maybe. So this is an option, right? Hey, just bring the kayak home, slide it into the garage when mom and dad aren't looking. Hopefully they won't notice it in there, but they're all happy. I'm sure everyone's happy because it's a good, healthy alternative. That you get your exercise, you're out there getting the fresh air. What a fantastic way to connect with nature. So you see the numbers, and this is in the last 20 years, just the gone from nothing, about people, the odd person bolting a rod holder onto a kayak, a sea kayak or a whitewater kayak, and then you see this evolution that where you can hardly buy a kayak that doesn't have a rod holder in now, right? It's
actually interesting you say that, because in the article it states that today fishing kayaks make up 40% of all kayaks sold in North America. I find that drastically lower than I would have expected, because to me, just to your point, these things are all fishing kayaks. These are all made for fishing.
Well, where does the line get drawn now, right? Is it marketed as a fishing kayak? Because like I said, you can see a lot of kayaks and they got a little rod holder or two rod holders behind the seat, and it's just a kayak, right? And it's not sold as a fishing kayak, because it's sold as a kayak that has rod holders. So there's whitewater kayaks. There's still people who do whitewater kayak. There's still people who do sea kayaking, and all the outfitters that rent out sea kayaks on the east and west coast, where the ocean is too cold to swim in. So tourists come and they want to do something on the coast, and they stick their toes in the water and they go, "Holy crap, I'm not swimming in that." And the beaches are more rock than sand. So kayak rentals are huge on the east and west coast. It's a huge tourist side of the sector, but they're not fishing. They're just going for a paddle. So you take that out and the whitewater kayakers, and I'd say the vast majority of the rest of the kayaks being sold are definitely people who want to go fishing.
100%. And Bill, I'm glad you brought this up, because this is something that is concerning me. I know everything is going up in price, but I'm a little surprised at how much the kayak prices are going up in relation to everything else.
How fancy you want to get, right? You can still get some good quality fishing kayaks for under $500.
Yeah,
there's a lot. They're not the Cadillacs, but they got rod holders. They got seats that are half decent, comfortable. They'll float. you know, and they're okay. They're okay.
Well,
There's
you
a
think
lot.
about it. Like, okay, first of all, if you're going to buy something that's geared towards fishing, you obviously have to make a conscious decision. What's my power going to be? What are my electronics? What kind of bow mount trolling motor am I going to have? And then of course comes all the gear. But with a kayak, you're not starting with a 50, 70, 100, $200,000 price tag to outfit a boat, whereas a kayak, generally starts around 2,500. I'm going to say is
a nice one.
Conservative estimate,
That's
2,500.
nice.
And then you're getting a trolling motor. You're getting, let's say, if you want your forward-facing sonar, look, by the time you're all said and done, you're probably putting 30, 40 grand, depending on what type of kayak you buy to outfit it. Well, that's a long way from 200,000.
Yeah.
So,
even that those are the tournament guys, Scotty.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of the people who would just go kayak fishing, they're just young people who don't have a lot of money, and they're buying $500, $600, $700 kayaks, and no electronics, just taking their fishing rod and their kayak, and they're going fishing.
Mhm.
And they're doing well. They're doing just fine. They're loving it. They're loving it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There's, as I said, folks, go over to bluefishcanada.ca and make sure that you are able to get your first and maybe your next edition of Bluefish Canada News, because there is just a whack of stuff in here.
I think I broke the record on the number of pages on this one, buddy.
Dude, I think you did. There's some, and you know what? The thing that I love about it is you give enough of a snippet that is detailed in terms of the information that you need to know, and every single one of these news articles spawns a reaction. You all of a suddenly have this side or that side argument already put together. This is great stuff. As always. Any other articles that pop
well,
out?
just on that point, Scotty. Look, when I put these links together, they're not clickbait. It's not like you should check out this or check out that or read more. If that's how it's presented, I read the article, I take out the little salient bits, and I put it right there in the summary. So you read the summary, it's a little 3-4 line summary. You get the main point of the article. You get it without linking on the link. But if you want to dive in and you want to find out everything there is on how they got there, you read the article, right? If it's something that's really interesting to you. I should be getting slapped around for that by the people who put out these articles and, write these articles and the various medias, organizations that publish these articles. But hey, you know what? Good news. Any news is good news. At least people are looking at their articles, and if maybe they're not linking, at least it's good advertising for them. So far, so good. But there's one thing at the end of the news. My guest feature is NOA Marine Fisheries, and they published some pretty cool tips on how to take good pictures of your catch.
Yes, I saw that. That we might discuss that next week.
Okay.
Just because we have the CFN Fish Off upcoming, and there are some good things that we could talk about in regards to the Fish Off. But one article that I wanted to end with tonight, which I think is what we all should really be taking a good look at, is what's going on in Manitoba. Billions of liters of sewage in the rivers.
Oh, yeah.
Can it be fixed?
Yeah.
Paris, like Winnipeg, has historically used its in-city waterway as the backstop for its sewage system. Like Winnipeg, the French capital designed its underground maze of sewers to overflow into the river on rainy days, when the pipes that carry runoff and wastewater to the sewage treatment plants are over capacity. In Winnipeg, the overflows dump on average 10 billion liters of effluent into the rivers each year.
That's a huge number. That's a huge number.
4,000 Olympic pools.
Yeah. That's a huge number.
Not 40. No, 4,000.
Yeah. 10 billion liters. This every city in Canada that's over 100 years old has this type of infrastructure. Every city in Canada, Toronto, Ottawa, up and down the Ottawa River, Montreal, all of them. They all have this legacy infrastructure. And newer subdivisions, the storm drain, the water line, and the sewage drain are 3 separate pipes. In the old cities, though, we got your water line, it's lead, and you got your storm/sewage drain, it's clay, and that's what's under the road. And so if it rains and the storm water drains are filling up with rainwater, so it doesn't back up into everyone's houses, they pull the plug and shoot it all out into the river, so that it doesn't, instead of sending it to the sewage treatment plant, it can't get it there fast enough. They just release the pressure and it goes into the river. So, we had that in Ottawa. We spent close to $300 million to fix it. Got most of it done. Still happens, but most of the time it doesn't happen anymore. It's a big investment to take care of this, and there's a lot of cities like Toronto that just haven't even done it yet. And I talked to my friend Mark Madsen. He's a lawyer for 35 years. He's been taking on cities and suing them to get this done, and he still can't twist Toronto's arm hard enough to make him bite the bullet.
Wow. Well, this is a wealth of information, and we just hit the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what is available at Bluefish Canada and the Bluefish News. As always, Lawrence, I can't thank you enough for your time, your dedication to informing us of what's going on in our industry, in our fishing communities, and across the world. But a wealth of information for those who are interested. Please, I highly recommend heading over to Bluefish Canada and getting yourself this news article, as well as many others, plus the number of podcasts that our good buddy Lawrence has done with some very interesting characters. But yeah, Lawrence, I can't thank you enough for your dedication to this, because it truly is appreciated, my friend. Really appreciate it.
Right on, and good luck with the tournament this year. It's exciting, man. It's exciting. Keep me posted. I got to put some stuff in the news about this, with the winners and such. So
I will.
Yeah.
So as I said, we look forward to it each and every year. My biggest thing is making sure that our judges are well rested, so we don't do this too often. I know Mike would like to do it a little bit more often than we do, but our judges, they work so freaking hard to get all the submissions properly recorded, posted, this, that, and everything else. But yes, thank you for that, Lawrence. I really appreciate it. But in the meantime, dude, stay cool.
All right.
Stay classy, and we'll see you next Monday, my friend.
Sounds good. Sounds good, buddy.
All right. You take care. Have a great night and great week. All right. That is the end of our show. Thanks so much for all of you for joining us and sticking with us for the entire hour and a half that we've been here. Again, lots of great information over at Bluefish Canada. I can't emphasize enough for those who are interested, in something just to read, when you've got an hour, when you're sitting on the porcelain god, by all means, get a copy of this and get yourself informed. Because then when we have these conversations, I love the great questions that were asked, and even, some just general feelings from those in our community and what they thought, and folks that they know that live in these areas that are affected. I think it's really cool to get that kind of perspective. So really appreciate all of you who have jumped in and given your 2 cents. It means a lot when it comes to how interactive our show can be and how interactive you want it to be. I certainly don't like to be spoken to or talked down to all the time. So I love to see the interaction. And this is why we have all of our guests that we do. Thanks so much to Kat for joining us tonight on behalf of OWA, some great events that are happening there. And of course, our good buddy Mike Consul, who gave us some great information and whet our palate when it comes to the CFN Fish Off. Looking forward to the start of that. And of course, the one and only Lawrence Gunther, who always keeps us informed. Thanks to you as well, Lawrence. And for Jim and Jay, who are feverishly getting ready, getting rested, in Jay's case, probably showering off in a very cold shower right about now. We missed you. We look forward to seeing you again next Monday, as well as you folks. But in the meantime, we'll see you on Wednesday. We have a special guest that's going to be joining Danny and I on Wednesday, so stay tuned to that. But in the meantime, just enjoy the weather if you do so. Stay cool if you don't, and make sure you get ready to wet a line this weekend. Love you all. Take care of yourselves. Dave, it's on you, baby. Take us away.
Well, as much as I hate to admit it, I guess we've run out of time. So I've enjoyed it, but I'm going to do something I haven't done since season 1. Turn out the lights, the party's over. They say that all good things must end.